some, I was able to get some of those. I got some felt the other day to finish up some of those. I'm working whenever I get a chance outside of mowing lawn.
It's been kind of nice to just focus on home.
Yes.
Not have a whole bunch of other stuff.
Digging ditch out back to the shop and putting a drain line out through there, so. And it's cool, I did. When it doesn't, I don't.
I'm
Sit
working
still.
on that trailer next door.
Yeah.
Hot with that.
How they get the end of this week, end of the weekend. I gotta go back to Rochester now. It's Monday, Tuesday, possibly Wednesday.
Yeah, if that red light goes on, let me know.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, July 14th, 2020. Roll call.
Supervisor Murray,
Here.
Councilman Smith,
Here.
Councilman Burns,
Here.
Councilman Kiefer,
Here.
and Councilman Flansburgh.
Here.
At this time, I ask you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for the invocation. Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our country and the boldness and bravery of our founding fathers when they adopted unanimously the Declaration of Independence. This document is our nation's birth certificate. We pray for those who guard our skies, our shores, and air. Give us wisdom and clarity as we do the business and make policy for the benefit of all the town. Be with John Smith's family in this very difficult time. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for John Smith. John was with the town for 39 years. Thank you. So we bought a plaque for John. We were planning on doing it sooner, but COVID struck and we didn't have a meeting for 2 months. So unfortunately, we could not give this to him before he passed away. He passed away June 10th, the day after our last meeting. So Lois is down with her son PJ in Maryland, and we'll be back till the end of the month. So we'll present this with her. So at the end of the meeting, if anyone would like to come up and see it, please feel free. And we need to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on June 9th, 2020. Are there any changes?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes.
I'll second. Roll call?
Flansburgh,
Aye.
Burns, Smith,
Aye.
Kiefer,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstains.
At this time, we'll go into the report. First up is from Justice Farley. Currently, we're in phase 4 for the return to court. The 7th Judicial Town and Court Complete Phase 4 Summary advises. A list of criminal matters. Judges are encouraged to be more robustly conference criminal matters, virtually and telephonically. And if acceptable, depositions are reached, plea affidavits are strongly encouraged. Limited civil matters, vehicle and traffic matters. Within ethical guidelines, judges are encouraged to cooperate with their local prosecutor and public defender to establish a mail-in dispositional process that will allow a defendant charged with a VTL infraction to elect to proceed with a personal appearance in order to mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 outbreak. I have been in contact with both the ADA that serves this court and Steuben County District Attorney to establish a process. Currently, it's a work in progress. Attached, please find the information related to my monthly submission report to the State Comptroller Justice Court Fund for the end of month June. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Justice Farley. Next up is our assessor, Holly Small. This month, I have been processing monthly transfers, escrows, and other miscellaneous administrative duties. Grievance was on May 27th from 10 a.m. to noon and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. 2 Board of Assessment review members were present. There were no complaints. Final roll will be filed on or about July 1st. Once again, if there are any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me, Holly Small. Next up is John Leonard Jr., Code Enforcement Officer, 6/6 to 7/11, 284 miles, 2 swimming pools, 1 electrical service, and 2 complaints. Next up is Dog Control Monthly Report. 1 unleashed dog on State Route 21 South, husky, black and white in the road. And 1 barking dog, State Route 21 South. Barking dog over bank, unable to get up bank, located owner, transported dog for them for vet attention, Springer Spaniel. And 1 dog released, found on State Route 21 South, Springer Spaniel needs vet care. And a leash law warning given. Then next up is the highway report. Jeff, would you like to share the report?
Graded Osborne, Pinchon, Lounsbury, Campfield, and Townsend roads. Did get some gravel down on Tuttle, so graded that. Got the roadsides mowed. Did some ditching and some brush removal on Green Hill. Our oil and stone roads are all done. Cornellsville and Canasteel helped us, and then we went and helped them. I did hit a deer with a pickup, turned in insurance, adjuster looked at it, made an appointment to get it fixed.
Okay. Was it extensive damage or?
The adjuster said 2,100.
Little baby deer?
No, it wasn't.
Thank you, Jeff. And let's move on to old business. Richard Buck, our attorney, emailed us back today about the Andy Butler and the roof update. It's quite a long email, but I think I should read it. So I spoke with Andy on June 17th. The summary of the discussion is included in your billing statements. As Andy explained, there are certain inherent structural limitations because of the way Bud Phelps originally constructed the building. To wit, no ventilation was incorporated into the existing structure, and because of the construction methodology Phelps employed cannot be corrected now. I have not looked at the building or construction, so I could not opinionate on this. In any event, it does not appear that ventilation was part of the original scope of work. There is nothing in the documentation that's attached that suggests ventilation was in the original scope of work. I was not provided the original advertisement in the Evening Tribune I requested previously that may have something that the town can use. In any event, Andy claims that the lack of ventilation causes a condition in which the condensation from the winter sand storage has no place to go. I don't know the building, and I don't know whether some sort of fan or exhaust mounted on the roof would be effective or possible. Invoice number 1042 was what I was provided when I asked for the bids. It's big, but he proposed R11 insulation. That's what you are stuck with since you accepted his offer. You advertised that he was to install a barrier, but did not. Andy claims that the insulation came with the barrier manufactured into it. I believe him, he means something like the insulation pictured below, and encapsulated insulation. I'm familiar with this type of insulation because what I used in my garage that I insulated myself. We would need to confirm. If this was the type of insulation, I'm not sure what a separate second vapor barrier would accomplish. You'd need to talk with Hunt or another roofing contractor. That the code enforcement officer now wants thicker does not resolve the issue that the town accepted his bid, AKA estimate that specified R11. The CEO should have reviewed the bid upon receipt, advised that a thicker insulation was required by code, if that is the case at this time. The town cannot retroactively impose that requirement without additional compensation to Mr. Butler because it represents a change in the scope of work. Andy said that he did confirm leakage in a few spots, circled the leak areas on the floor, determined where the leaks were, and offered to remove, replace metal, and reinstall to prevent further leaks and seal with a 30-year silicone. He said that one of the board members insisted that he replace what he described as the entire half of the roof that was leaking rather than the spots which were leaking. Andy's obligation is to repair the leaks. If the solution he proposed created works, then there is no basis to impose the means and methods by which will resolve the leaks. He said there were 3 leaks. Unless there is a factual basis to confirm that the work Butler did necessitates the removal and reinstallation of half the roof rather than the methodology he suggested, you may not get the insurance company to cover it. They may cave and throw a few bucks just to get rid of it. I don't know, but I need pictures to show the damage. Next, Andy explained that the original roof was not built with any overhang. This is the short eaves issue. I believe he was going to try to extend some of the metal to try to create some sort of overhang, but this would be limited by existing structure. That seems to be beyond the scope of the bid estimate. Finally, Andy explained that the structure of the roof is such that one cannot just walk on it anywhere. There are support structures one has to walk on. He said that he was going to meet town representatives there at some point to walk on the roof so he could show them where to walk safely and not void the roof warranty. He claims no one showed up. The bottom line is the town can only get what it paid for. Here, because the documentation is sparse and the wording vague, it is difficult to show what Butler was hired to do. There is not a single document such that the attached roof replacement agreement I drafted last year. What you're left with is the advertisement and Butler's submission to response to the bid. This is invoice 1042. Under that, he is to remove the old metal roofing, install R11 insulation, install new metal roofing, and repair gutters. None of these materials have specs except for the insulation. There are no dimensions or material quantity. Assuming he installed the R11, ultimately, what you're left with is the quality of insulation and the work he did. My recommendation is to meet with Butler and the CEO and the highway superintendent and put in writing what Butler will do in order to mitigate miscommunication and misunderstanding. I can be there to referee if you want. Let me know how you wish to proceed. Richard Barr.
I think the code officer should probably be there too, because I thought he was the one that suggested that the whole roof should be taken off and redone, and that all sounds good on paper, but it still doesn't cover the fact that there were all these holes drilled through there with the self-tappers, and they didn't even hit the purlin, so, you know, that's not our fault.
No, that shoddy workmanship, there's a lot of other issues with it than just that. I think the pictures that we have taken need to go to them to show them in response to this letter.
Who do you want it sent to?
Well, it should go to this, to Buck. He
To
asked
Buck?
about it.
Okay.
They didn't have any pictures or anything showing, and he didn't know what it was even about, or even how it looked, or what it was constructed of, or anything.
Okay. We have all the pictures to send him.
So,
But then-
I think that should be done, so he has an understanding, or to have him come here and say that this is what we have. If he's not going to believe us with what we have, even though they've got the invoice and all of that, I mean, the shoddy workmanship should make up for the qualities that were presented. Missing the purlins, screwing through the same holes of the purlins that were there, fiberglass insulation, which it doesn't meet the criteria of what a metal building of that nature needs.
Do you think you guys should meet with Andy?
I think you should have the hunt engineer come down and meet with the code guy maybe an hour before, and then have Andy show up I mean, you could probably be there with Hunt Engineering and him, and then maybe an hour later, after they've looked it over with the pictures and stuff, then meet with Andy. That'd be my thought.
Agree.
I just hate to initiate Hunt, because it's $3,500.
Yeah, well, like I say, those things are supposed to last 30 to 50 years. He's talking about putting 30-year caulk apparently on all the holes where they missed the purlings. That's unacceptable, so.
Well, what if you guys never met with Andy, right? Weren't you and Brent supposed to meet with
Met
him?
with Andy multiple times.
I thought those guys were supposed to meet with him and that never happened.
Oh, you and Bud were supposed to meet with him.
Well, I think there was still snow on the roof and stuff.
It was snow on the roof, it went, without question to it, it was winter time.
Do you
Bud-
want to meet with Andy?
Bud left, it was the time he went to Florida. I waited for another call from Andy, but never got anything.
Well, what
Do
if-
you want to meet with Andy?
I'd rather stay
MD?
right out of it and have the code guy and the engineer discuss it with them.
Well, I'm just thinking if you do give it one more shot with him, we might be able to.
What are you saying, skip the engineer for now and have the code guy meet with Andy? It's probably gonna get into an argument, I'm guessing. But you could try that first.
But he just argues with me.
And the
We
code
need a
enforcement
new
officer's
person.
been here with Andy and
Multiple
everybody
times.
anyway, and all of us were there. And we discussed this to very extreme length, and we're not getting anything.
I'd say have the guy from Hunt come down and just give us an overall, show him the pictures, have him look it over and write up some type of a report. I mean, I don't know what other options we have.
I agree.
And then send that to the town attorney and see what
Hunt
he.
has the pictures.
What's that?
Hunt has the pictures.
Oh, they've already got them? But he's probably gonna wanna come down and see it himself too, you know?
He was here in the spring, right, Jeff?
There was still snow on the road, so that's why he didn't get up there.
And as far as this letter saying, you know, Andy's saying there's only certain places you can walk on the roof and all that's true. You were up there, I was there, we know the purlins where you can walk, you don't walk in between them. But, that not even, should even
It's
be
not
put
even the
on
point.
here as an issue, because it's not the issue. I agree with Tom, I would give him here.
I'll make a motion to authorize Hunt to come down and meet with the code officer to physically inspect the
I'll
roof.
second
Roll call?
Murray,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Byrne,
Aye.
Kiefer,
it. Aye.
Lansford.
Aye.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstained.
Okay, on to new business. The town clerk audit was completed on June 9th, 2020. Does Councilman Burns or Councilman Smith have any updates or comments about it?
No, I thought it went well.
It was well.
You think it went fine?
Thank you
Sue did a
both for
good
your
job.
Some